SHAMIL Basayev, considered a terrorist by some and a hero by many, who risked losing his family for the freedom of his people. SHAMIL Basayev was born on January 14, 1965 in the village of Budennovsk, Chechnya. Basayev's family was one of 800,000 Chechen families deported to Kazakhstan and Siberia by Stalin's order in 1944. After Khrushchev came to power, the exiled Chechens returned to their homeland in 1957. After graduating from high school in 1982, SHAMIL Basayev served in the Soviet Army for 2 years. After completing his service, he worked as an engineer in Volgograd and Moscow. SHAMIL Basayev later stated that the Che Guevara factor played a role in the formation of his revolutionary spirit. He added that he had a large portrait of Che Guevara in his room in Moscow. After the collapse of the USSR in 1991, Jakhar Dudayev was elected president of Chechnya. As soon as Dudayev was elected president, he declared Chechnya's independence. Immediately after Chechnya's declaration of independence, Russia gathered troops on the Chechen border. In order to convey the truth about Chechnya to the world, Basayev hijacked a Russian airliner to Ankara. After this incident, the world got to know the Chechen Mujahideen. The kidnapped prisoners were handed over to their countries safely. SHAMIL Basayev and his comrades left Turkey without facing any danger. This hijacking incident was resolved by reaching mutual agreements. Basayev, who went to Abkhazia in 1992 on Dudayev's instructions, also provided serious support to the Abkhazian War against the Georgians. After the Abkhazian War, he received the People's Hero Medal from the Abkhazians and was brought to the Abkhaz Ministry of Defense. At the same time, Basayev married an Abkhaz woman named Alina and had 1 son and 3 daughters. After a year as a minister, realizing that he could not do without fighting, he resigned from his post and returned to Chechnya with his wife and joined the struggle for independence. After the Russian troops intervened in Chechnya in December 1994, SHAMIL, who became Dudayev's most trusted general, became the most wanted Chechen commander by the Russians. The biggest blow to SHAMIL in the War of Liberation was the bombing of the house where his family lived. In 1995, the Russians bombed SHAMIL's house with fighter jets. As a result of the bombing, 11 family members, including SHAMIL's Abkhazian wife, were killed. SHAMIL said this in an interview. "I am not fighting for my family's revenge, but for my homeland. My war is for independence." He did not pay attention to those who labeled him a terrorist. He said, "God knows who I am and what I want." SHAMIL was more famous for the Budennovsk operation than for his own name. In 1995, Basayev, who was hiding among 150 Mujahideen in coffins inside cars going to Moscow, attacked the police station in the city of Budennovsk with his group. After the police station, Basayev stormed the city hospital, calm, with a hairy face and the words, "Allahu Akbar," written on his green bandage. To prevent the Russians from attacking the hospital, the Mujahideen poured gasoline on the prisoners and left them in front of the windows. During the Budennovsk attack, former Russian President Boris Yeltsin was attending the G7 summit in Canada, so Prime Minister Viktor Chernomyrdin was conducting negotiations with SHAMIL. There were 5 telephone conversations between the Prime Minister and SHAMIL in 36 hours. The dialogue, broadcast live on the air, was as follows. V. Chernomyrdin: Basayev, if you continue like this, it will be very bad for you. I promise before the world and the Russian people that nothing will happen to you. S.H. Basayev: I don't believe you. On the one hand, you guarantee our security, and on the other hand, you throw bombs at our heads. But I won't shoot you. After long negotiations, an agreement is reached. SHAMIL's demands are met. 7 buses and a refrigerated truck to transport the bodies are sent to the hospital. Basayev and his Mujahideen, along with 150 prisoners, leave Budennovsk under sniper fire. SHAMIL also keeps his word, and the prisoners are released. The Budennovsk operation alarmed the Russians. SHAMIL later recalled the following about the Budennovsk terrorist attack. I wasn't going to go to Budennovsk. I had in mind Moscow. It's just that our money ran out, which caused me to change my plan, and I carried out the Budennovsk operation. We killed 300 Russian soldiers, shot down 2 of their helicopters. "We attacked the hospital, but the Russians were bombing maternity hospitals in Chechnya." Shamil Basayev, who took over the government after the assassination of Jakhar Dudayev on April 21, 1996, dealt serious blows to the Russians in the First Russo-Chechen War. After the statement made by the then Russian Defense Minister Grachev in 1994, "We will capture Grozny in 2 hours," the war continued for 2 years. The culmination of the war, which was considered a fiasco for Russia, was the Jakhar Kala operation. Basayev led the Jakhar Kala operation. The operation directly affected the end of the war, and peace was established in Chechnya with the Kosovo Agreement on August 31, 1996. Russia withdrew its troops from Chechnya. The Shamil Basayev factor began to worry the Russians. After Dudayev, Aslan Maskhadov became the head of state. In April 1997, Basayev was elected prime minister, but he resigned shortly after. In 1999, Basayev and Amir Khattab, who were elected as the chairman of the newly formed Islamic Council, began a second war against Russia with 2,000 mujahideen. Shamil, who lost his right leg defending the capital Grozny during the Second Russo-Chechen War, did not put down his weapon. In October 2002, after the attack on the famous Nord-Ost Theater in Moscow, a conflict arose between him and Maskhadov. The reason was that Shamil carried out the attack without Maskhadov's permission. 2 years later, a $10 million reward was placed on Shamil's head, who also organized the attack on a secondary school in the city of Beslan, North Ossetia. The Russians, who broadcast the siege of the school live to the world, were able to create the image of Basayev as a terrorist by attracting the attention of the world community. Shamil Basayev, who was Doku Omarov's assistant, died on July 10, 2006, after a bomb exploded in a motorcade in Ingushetia. In 2005, in an interview with Russian correspondent Andrei Babitsky of the United States ABC television channel, Chechen Field Commander Shamil Basayev answered the question about the Russian children and women he had killed innocently. And the innocent babies who were killed in Chechnya? Who are the murderers of the 40,000 innocent Chechen babies who were killed?